Now, while I was this was also big talk. Giancarlo Esposito. A lot of y'all have we've talked about him a lot, right? So you know him from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Spike Lee joints, more recently on Star Wars. It's Moff Gideon.
You have something I want.
You know, he's also the head of Vought, or was the head of Vought on The Boys. Fantastic actor. I mean, you can't say enough about Giancarlo. Like, you just can't. Like, the guy is just amazing. But recently he has confirmed, and I think this was at C2E2, which hurts my soul because I was on vacation. I was supposed to go to C2E2, but I missed it and I'm hurt. But he ended up confirming that he has had talks with Marvel and he wants to play Professor X. Wow. Here's what he had to say. He says, I have not worked for Marvel yet. I've been in a room with them and talked to them. So there's been talk of Magneto. Who else has there been talk about over there? Oh, Doom, Dr. Doom, and then there is Professor X. He goes on to say, I'm gonna go for something that is a little bit different. I'm gonna go and put it out in the universe that it's Professor X. Okay. So let's make something clear first. Nothing is confirmed. He has not confirmed that he is going to be Professor X. He didn't confirm he's going to be Dr. Doom. He did not confirm he was going to be Magneto or nothing like that. He just said that they had talks, that somebody, and that talk could be something as who knows if agents were involved. Maybe this was something casual, like, hey, a lot of people have been saying you should play this. What about Magneto? It could be something casual. But I want to throw something out here for people to consider, because I think a lot of people, I think we all know that Giancarlo has no problem playing the smooth, suave, bad guy that we love to see, right? He could play Magneto in his sleep. Because in a sense, I guess you could say Magneto is no different than Moff Gideon. He could be very similar to that, if not better with the twist. Personally, I don't want him as Dr. Doom, only because I think Dr. Doom has more of his character tied to his Eastern European roots. I mean, this is a character, from the high Caucasus, the Caucasus Mountains and stuff. He's from that Russia, Siberia type of country, where I think that is part of his character. So for me, I do think that while I don't mind, race swapping here and there, I do think Dr. Doom should be played by someone of Eastern European descent or connection. I think that character should stay that way. Now, if we were to do a flip, I would also say that Giancarlo would be fantastic as Norman Osborn. You could make him Norman Osborn, and that would be a cakewalk. And you could give my man the butters. You can give him the smooth butters with the waves and make us all seasick. Okay, because Giancarlo could do that. But this is something else to consider. This is easy for him. He's literally done it in all these other shows and movies already. So I totally understand why people say that they want this, because we've seen it. It's easy to say, I want this thing that I've seen before and more of it. But for a lot of actors, they don't want to just be that one thing. And Giancarlo is very talented. And let me try and make the case here for why I think he actually should play Professor X. Now, a lot of times people think about Professor X as the pacifist. Like, he's the, people bring up the Martin Luther King versus Magneto being Malcolm X, that type of comparison. I get that. But it's really going to be something dependent on what Marvel does with the mutants, right? Is Marvel going to continue what we've seen in the 97 X-Men series? I believe they might be doing that, where that dynamic continues. Well, if they do that, well, I mean, Magneto was a child of the Holocaust or a victim of the Holocaust. Professor X is a really old guy from the 70s. Like, you talking about two characters that are like almost 90 something years old. So I think that if he were to play Professor X, you're gonna have to change his character. One thing that is true for both characters, and you have to tie Magneto with Professor X because they are tied like that, right? Both characters embody social issues, right? Whatever that issue is. I guess you could tie in Black oppression with Professor X, maybe tie that in some way with Magneto. You could maybe go that route, but I'm gonna say put all that to the side for now. Okay, so put aside any of the get Denzel for Magneto and all that. Put all that to the side. I want you to think about Professor X, but I want you to throw away the idea that you've had with Patrick Stewart. Throw away the idea that you had with McAvoy and X-Men First Class. Put all of that away. Because if you are familiar with the more recent version of the X-Men, the Jonathan Hickman run, I'm talking about Dawn of X, Powers of X, House of X, that version of X-Men, that version of Professor X is perfect for Giancarlo. Now, let me explain. I'm going to try and give you this. If you're a comic fan, again, if you've read that series, you can follow me here, but I'm going to try and talk to the people that have not read that comic. I'm going to try and talk to the people that have probably never read the comic and explain why this version of Professor X would be perfect for Giancarlo and might just blow your mind. In this new series, it's kind of like a soft retcon of the X-Men, right? Because again, Marvel doesn't reboot. What Marvel ended up doing, and I'm gonna give you just the spark notes, because by the way, if you've never read the X-Men or if you haven't read them in a long time, I strongly encourage that you go read that Jonathan Hickman run. You go read the Dawn of X, Power of X, House of X, because that is probably one of the best X-Men stories I've ever heard. Forget Days of the Future Past. Forget all them other stories. That story right there and how they've redone the X-Men is amazing. One thing I'll just say is this version of Professor X ain't your mama's version of Professor X. He ain't the kumbaya version of Professor X. This is a Professor X that is like, let me tell y'all something. I know that I love you human beings. I know that you humans constantly keep on trying to persecute us mutants. I also know that ain't gonna be nothing that we can do to stop you, except for this. We are better than you. We mutants are more evolved than you. We also know that y'all hard-headed. And because of all that, we just gonna take over. We are going to take over politics. We're going to take over education. We're going to take over the world.
The world, Chico. And everything in it.
We're going to have everything on our own, and you not going to mess with us. Because if you do mess with us, you going to learn the real definition of F around and come find out. You going to know what this means. And he says all of this with a smile. He says all of this in a cool, calm demeanor. Okay. And I want you to understand this is a Professor X in this storyline that is so tired of failing, but at the same time keeping his optimism that he's like, look, we're better than you. And there ain't nothing y'all can do to stop us, man. Matter of fact, I got Magneto on my left and Apocalypse on my right. Y'all, they got this in this story. Again, I tell you, go read this comic book. They got my man Professor X going in, talking to the United Nations, talking to the world, like, yo, y'all not gonna mess with us. The only people, you know what? Here's the thing. The only people that was kind of cool, just a little bit, was the Wakandans. They looked at the Wakandans like, hey, man, y'all good. And the Wakandans was like, yeah, all right. We don't need y'all help, but we ain't gonna mess with y'all either. Go. But when I tell you one of the dopest scenes they ever had was Professor X walking up, dropping straight mics on the world. And he came in with Magneto in an all-white suit, and then Apocalypse in another three-piece suit. You put Giancarlo in that role, y'all will be eating it up. I promise. I promise you. So again, if you are sitting here thinking that Giancarlo shouldn't be Professor X, or you can't imagine it, I want you to think of all the good mic drop moments that you have seen him do in other roles, but as a good guy. That is what Giancarlo can do as Professor X. If they adopt that new version, it will be gold. Marvel, send the check later. Cut the check. Cut the check later. Anyway, I want Giancarlo as Professor X, because that right there, if they do that version of him, not the passive guy, I'm talking about the mic drop, like, I'm better than you. You ain't gonna do nothing about it, guy. Let's go. Let's go. That right there, y'all not even ready for that, Professor X. Y'all, but the only person that can bring that to life, that can give it that energy, is Giancarlo. That's it. But anyway, y'all let me know, how do you feel about Giancarlo as Professor X if he gets it? Again, nothing is confirmed, but if he gets that role, y'all let me know how you feel about it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.